I said it like I was ordering coffee. Calm. Exact. The way you talk when your hand isn't shaking but your chest is. I'm not coming if he's there. Hannah stared at me across my cluttered kitchen like I'd just told her gravity was optional. She'd come over in this white sweater that made her look 14 again, and that was the worst part. I kept seeing pigtails and scraped knees while she stood there planning a seating chart that included the man who blew a crater in our family. He has a name, she said. Yeah, I said. So do landmines. She rolled her eyes. Classic. That slow-motion blink of a kid who learned patience from YouTube tutorials. Steam lifted off the kettle. The kitchen window showed the maple tree that, according to the divorce decree, technically belonged to the neighbor's property line now. That maple and half my socks. I invited him because he's important to Mom, Hannah said, lowering her voice like it would make the sentence gentler. They've been together. Together since while your mother was still with me, I said. We don't need the calendar tour. She flinched. I hated that I made her do that. I hate that honesty is just what people say when they want a trophy for being blunt. If you've never had your kid look at you like you're the one tearing the house, congratulations. Keep your medal. Wear it in the shower. I want peace at my wedding, she said, and her eyes drifted to the mess of envelopes and that stack of RSVP cards like they were going to lift and solve the moment by forming a white flag. I don't want conflict. You invited conflict, I said. You FedExed conflict with a +1. She let out this laugh that wasn't a laugh. You ever notice how you think you're the only one bleeding, Dad? There it was, the knife, but we were both the tomato. I poured the water over stale grounds because my coffee machine broke last week and I hadn't bought a new one. I call that a metaphor. You can call it negligence. Is this about pride? She asked. Because if it's pride, I can. It's about not taking communion with the man who slept in my bed when I was out of town. Too far. I watched it land. I mean, not slept. You know what they did. We all know. Whole neighborhood knows. This is where I should have walked. I tell you. You in the invisible fourth chair, the one reading me like a cheap menu. But I didn't. I stood and stirred sludge in my cup like that would stir something noble in me. She put her hand on the counter. The ring shone like a tiny lighthouse. I hadn't decided how I felt about her fiancé yet. I'd only met him twice. Once at a barbecue where he called my overcooked burgers decisively done, and once when he asked me for permission to propose and I said yes, because I was pretending life is linear. Dad, she said, he's not just Mom's. I mean, it's complicated. Is his invitation complicated? Does it split into two and multiply when wet? You're funny when you're angry. Yeah, well, it's either jokes or breaking plates, and I'm short on plates. I took a breath and tasted metal. Set the boundary. If he's there, I'm not. She picked up one RSVP from the pile, ran her thumb along the edge like a cigarette. Do you know what it cost me to even ask her to not invite him? I fought for you. I did. But it's my wedding. I don't want to referee my parents. You don't want to referee? Don't invite the referee's mistress, I said, and immediately hated myself. Not for the joke. Well, yes for the joke, but more for how easy it is to snipe instead of listen. You ever notice how sarcasm is just cowardice in denim? Hannah's jaw set. She had my jaw. I wanted to apologize to her for that, too. Okay, she said finally steady. I hear you. If he's there, you won't be. Correct. And if he's not, she said, you'll walk me down the aisle? I felt my throat betray me. Yes. You'll dance with me to the song we used to sing in the car? The one you pretended you hated? Except I didn't pretend, I said. I hated it. But I'll dance to it anyway. Something eased around her eyes, and then snapped right back like a rubber band. She took a breath, big enough to inflate a lung and a lie. There's one more thing, she said. Always is. She looked at the window. The maple flickered in a breeze that felt like it came from a different city. We asked someone to officiate. Please say not him. Not him, she said, and the pause was a longer sentence than anything either of us had spoken. That was convincing. It's Mark, she said. My stomach reached for the floor. Mark is my brother. Was. Titles are weird once you've shared a Thanksgiving table and a betrayal. You want the diagram? Here. My ex-wife June. Her lover. The landmine with a name I won't give you yet. My daughter Hannah. And my brother Mark. Who, according to family lore, came into the world clutching a Swiss Army knife and a joke. Mark who took my couch when I asked for space. Mark, who said, "You're better than this," in the tone people use when what they mean is, "Do better so I don't have to feel bad." "Why, Mark?" I asked, keeping my voice where humans could hear it. "Because he calms Mom down." "Because he calms you down." She shrugged. "Because we thought. Neutral." "Neutral?" I laughed. It cracked. "Mark is a ceasefire written in invisible ink." She moved closer. We were within arm's length, the danger distance where you can smell the truth coming. Her perfume was something citrusy, like summer pretending to be permanent. "Dad, if he's not there, will you be?" I already said. "No," she said. "The other he." And here's where the floor gave way, quiet as a secret. This is the part where the room tilts, and every picture frame goes crooked at once. "You ready?" She bit her lip. "I invited him because he's not just Mom's lover. He's—" "Don't say friend." She said. Hannah swallowed hard enough I felt it in my own throat. "She said he might be my biological father." The kettle clicked. Somewhere a car door slammed. The maple did that dappled light thing like summer was applauding. I set the mug down, because I could feel my hand deciding whether to obey gravity. "Come again," I said, and my voice was a stranger in my mouth. "She told me last month." She wasn't sure before, but she did a test. Hannah's words were lined up neat. I could see her choosing silence between each one like placing stones over a river. "He took one too. They match. 99 point something. I don't remember the decimal, but it's a lot of percent." "You ever notice how a number can feel like a fist?" "She didn't tell me for years," Hannah said, and now her eyes were glassy and furious and 24 and 5 at the same time. "She thought it would hurt you. She thought it didn't matter if you were the one who raised me." "I am," I said. The two softest words I've ever known. "I am." Not past tense. Present progressive. "I am." "I know," she said immediately, and her face broke in this way that made me want to carry every bad thing out of the room with my hands. "You are. That's why I asked you to walk me down the aisle. That's why." She stopped. "But I also want to invite him. Because I want to see all the faces that made me. Even if it stings. Especially if it stings." I pressed my palms into the countertop. The edge bit my skin like the world reminding me I'm made of meat. "And if he's there, I'm not," I said, but now it wasn't a threat. It sounded like a dare I didn't want to take. She nodded, a small surrender or a trap. I couldn't tell which. "I don't want to choose between my father and my possible other father." "You won't have to," I said, and I heard the lie packing its suitcase. "We'll figure it out." She looked at me like I'd just promised rain in a drought. "Will we?" I said we would. I told her, and then I looked at you again. Yes, you, the invisible audience keeping score. This is the part where you're supposed to say, "Walk away, man." But I don't walk. I drift. I stall. I buy time like it's on sale. Hannah turned to go, then stopped at the door. "If you don't come, I'll understand," she said. "But it'll break me." "You think I want to be broken with you?" I asked. She smiled without joy. "You already are." Then she left. The kettle hissed into its own silence. I stared at the RSVP pile, and that's when I saw it. An envelope I hadn't noticed, tucked under a coupon circular. My name in June's handwriting, the same loops that used to write grocery lists on our fridge. Milk, eggs, Mercy. Inside, a single photo. June in a cheap motel mirror, belly round, my arm around her waist, my face buried in her hair. On the back, one line, "We didn't know." We didn't know. Past tense trying to forgive itself. The phone buzzed. A text from my brother. "Mark, you talked to Hannah yet? Call me. We should get ahead of this." I stared at his name until it blurred. Ahead of this? "Buddy, this train left 2 decades ago." I typed back, "We're not officiating a hostage situation." Then I deleted it. I poured the coffee down the sink. It smelled bitter, burned, like honesty, like furniture after a candle goes sideways. I pulled a fresh RSVP card from the stack and turned it over. Blank. On the smooth back, I wrote 3 words I didn't know I had in me. "I'll be there." And underneath, smaller, "But he can't sit in my seat." You ever hear your own daughter use someone else's laugh? Yeah, that's how it started for me. It was a Tuesday night, and Emily called, voice too bright, like she was reading off a script someone else had written. "Dad, I've sent you the updated guest list." I open the email. My stomach knots before I've even scrolled past the first dozen names. And there it is, in plain black Arial, Daniel Brooks. Daniel Brooks. The man who blew a hole through my marriage like a wrecking ball through a stained glass window. I say, keeping my voice flat. You sent me the wrong list. Nope. That's the final one. She's chewing gum. I can hear it in her words. Her mother chews gum like that. Slow, sticky, like she's stalling for time. You invited him, I say. It's not a question. Long silence. I picture her on the other end, twirling the phone cord if this were the 90s. She finally says, he's important to Mom. And Mom's important to me. This day is about love, Dad. That's when I laugh. Short, sharp, the kind of laugh that says you have no idea what you just lit on fire. Love? Emily, that man is the reason your mother and I aren't together. He's not just some plus one. He's the— I stop. My lawyer told me to never use certain words, even in private. She sighs, a deep, theatrical sigh I swear she learned from watching her mother work a room. Dad, it was years ago. You can't keep punishing her. Punishing. My voice cracks, not from weakness, but from trying to hold it in. Emily, I don't care if he brings the Pope as his date. If Daniel Brooks sets foot at that wedding, I won't be there. And that's not a threat, it's a promise. Silence again. Except this time, it's heavy. I can hear her breathing, slow, deliberate, the same way her mother did when she was deciding whether to cry or to scream. Finally, she says, then I guess you'll have to live with not walking your only daughter down the aisle. That one lands. Even I feel it. But here's the thing. They expect you to fold when they aim for the jugular. I don't fold. 3 days. That's how long it took for June to make her entrance. She didn't call. June never calls. She arrives. That's her style. Shows up in a cream blazer and heels that click like punctuation. She didn't even knock. She used the key I forgot to get back after the divorce. My fault. Always is, according to her. She stands in my kitchen like she still owns the air in it. We need to talk, she says, pulling a Pellegrino from my fridge. That's funny. I say, I thought we talked the day you moved out. You remember, bags in the hallway, your boyfriend waiting in the car? Her jaw tightens. Daniel is not. Don't, I say. We're not doing the History Channel today. She sets the bottle down a little too hard. Emily is upset. You're making her choose between her parents on her wedding day. I almost laugh. You mean you're making her choose between her father and the man you— Her eyes narrow. Say it, Paul. I lean in. The man you cheated with. There. Said. It. June doesn't flinch. That's her superpower. She absorbs blame like a sponge and wrings it out on you later. You can live in the past if you want, she says, but Emily deserves a peaceful day. Daniel will be there. I shake my head slowly. If Daniel's there, I'm not. You'd skip your own daughter's wedding because of a grudge? You'd bring the reason her family blew apart and pretend it's about love? She smirks. That smirk I used to think was sexy. Now it's just a billboard for manipulation. You always were dramatic. I take a step back, needing space before I say something that can't be unsaid. Tell Emily whatever you want. Just know if I walk into that venue and see him. Hell, if I see his car in the parking lot, I'm gone. June picks up her Pellegrino again, and before walking out, she says, then you better prepare yourself. Because Emily has a right to know all sides of her family. The door closes behind her. And I know, she's planning something. Because June doesn't warn you unless she's already set the trap. It was a Sunday morning when Emily called again. No, hi, Dad. No small talk. Just, I think you should know something before Mom tells you her version. That's how you know it's bad. When she's preempting June. I sat down, because the tone in her voice sounded like the edge of a cliff. All right, I said, hit me. She hesitated, and I could hear dishes clinking in the background, like she was pacing around her apartment with the phone under her chin. Daniel isn't just Mom's partner. He might be connected to me. Connected how? I asked, but I already felt the answer like a cold draft in my bones. Mom says there's a chance he's my biological father. I swear the clock on my wall stopped ticking for 3 whole seconds. Then it started again, way too loud. She told you this now? I asked. Last month, Emily said. She got a DNA test done, privately. Then she had him take one. The results match, 99-point-something%. I don't remember the decimal. I close my eyes. Daniel Brooks. The man I've hated for over 2 decades. The man I blamed for breaking my family. And now, maybe, he's been in my bloodline the whole damn time. You're still my dad, Emily said quickly, like she could hear my thoughts breaking apart. You raised me. You were there for everything. That doesn't change. But I want him at the wedding. I want to see both of you there. You think that's going to work? I asked, voice low. You think you can sit me at a table with him and pretend this is some Hallmark reunion? I'm asking you to be bigger than this, she said. No, I said. You're asking me to disappear. Because if he's there, I'm gone. She was quiet for a moment, then said softly, then I guess I have my answer. And just like that, she hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. June's trap wasn't just set, it was baited. And Emily had just stepped right into the middle of it. I didn't plan to see him. Hell, I'd spent years making sure I never even stood in the same grocery aisle. But when I pulled into the coffee shop on Main, there he was, Daniel Brooks, sitting at the corner table like he owned the daylight. He hadn't changed much. A little thicker in the middle, hair trimmed too neat, wearing that smug half-smile that made me want to rearrange his teeth back in '03. I could have walked out. Should have. Instead, I ordered black coffee, took the cup, and walked straight to his table. He looked up, and for a second, just a flicker, his smile faltered. Paul, he said. Long time. I sat down without asking. Cut the nostalgia. We're not catching up. He leaned back, hands folded like he was hosting a meeting. I hear you're making things complicated for Emily. Funny, I said. I was about to say the same thing to you. He shrugged. She wants me there. It's her wedding. She also wants her father there. And those two things can't happen at the same time. Daniel tilted his head. Maybe you're afraid she's going to see something in me. Something familiar. That one hit harder than I wanted it to. Don't flatter yourself, I said. If she's got anything from you, it's the ability to ruin a family without blinking. He smiled, slow and deliberate. Paul, you've had her all these years. Every birthday, every milestone. And yet, you still feel threatened. You mistake disgust for fear, I said. We sat in silence for a beat, the hiss of the espresso machine filling the space. Then he leaned forward. I'm going to be there, whether you like it or not. And when Emily looks out into that crowd, she's going to see both of us. Maybe she'll finally understand who she really is. I stood up, coffee in hand. You're right, I said. She will see who you are, and it'll be the easiest decision she's ever made. I walked out before he could answer, but the whole way home, his words sat in my chest like a stone I couldn't swallow. Because part of me knew he wasn't bluffing. 7 days before the wedding, my phone buzzed at 6:14 a.m. June. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity's a nasty habit. She didn't waste time. Paul, here's the deal. Emily wants you to walk her down the aisle, but Daniel will be there. You need to make your peace with that. Not happening, I said. I'm not calling for a debate, she said. I'm telling you what's going to happen. She's not going to disinvite him. He's her. She caught herself. He's important. Say it, I told her. Silence. Then, biological father. I could hear her pacing. She always paced when she was gearing up to sell something ugly as inevitable. You raised her, yes. But you can't erase science. She has the right to acknowledge that part of her at the wedding. I laughed, sharp and cold. Science? Don't dress this up. This is about you wanting your man in the photos so you can pretend the affair was just the prologue to some epic love story. Paul. No. You listen. I've swallowed a lot over the years. You moving out. You rewriting the past so you're the victim. But I'm not swallowing this. If Daniel's there, I'm not. She dropped her voice to that dangerous whisper she used to use when the kids were in earshot. If you don't come, she'll never forgive you. And when she has kids, you won't be in those pictures either. It was a direct hit, and she knew it. My silence gave her the satisfaction. Think about it, she said, and hung up. I sat there at the kitchen table, staring at the RSVP I'd never mailed. Outside, the garbage truck rumbled past, taking away things people didn't want anymore. For the first time in 24 years, I felt like I might be one of them. 2 nights later, Emily called. Not texted, called. Which meant it was serious. Her voice was steady, rehearsed. Dad, I've made my decision. I didn't say a word. I let the hum of the line stretch, just to make her feel it. Daniel's coming, she said finally. And I still want you there. But if you choose not to, I'll understand. Understand. That's the word people use when they've already braced for your absence. I kept my tone calm. Emily, do you remember your 6th birthday? The magician with the stupid plastic hat? A pause. Yeah. You remember who paid for him? Who sat in the kitchen blowing up balloons because the party store was closed? She sighed. Dad, no, you need to hear this. I've been there for every scraped knee, every parent-teacher conference, every come pick me up, I'm scared phone call. That man has been there for none of it. And now you want to put him in the front row like we're equals. It's not about equals, she said quietly. It's about truth. I can't unknow what Mom told me. And pretending he's not part of my life feels wrong. I close my eyes. You think truth and love are the same thing. What's that supposed to mean? It means the truth is, he might have given you half your DNA. But love? That's all me. Silence. Long enough I thought she'd hung up. Then she said, I wish you'd see this isn't about choosing between you two. It's about me choosing myself. And just like that, I realized something. This wedding wasn't the battleground. It was just a photo op. The real war was over what family even meant now. The day before the wedding, I was at Miller's Hardware picking up a new drill bit, anything to keep me out of my own head, when I heard my name. Paul. I turned. It was Claire, June's old best friend, the one who stopped coming around after the split. She looked the same, just older in the eyes. We made small talk in the paint aisle until she leaned in and said, You know, I'm not supposed to tell you this. That's when I knew it was going to be good or bad, depending on the angle. She lowered her voice. Daniel's not on the final seating chart. I blinked. What? He's not sitting with family. He's not even listed as a guest anymore. Emily took him off 2 nights ago. My first reaction was suspicion. June wouldn't let that happen. Then why hasn't anyone told me? Claire glanced around like the cans of primer were wiretapped. Because June's planning something else. She told Emily Daniel will still be part of the day, her words. My guess? He's showing up unannounced. Probably right before the ceremony. Why would she? Claire cut me off. Think about it. Cameras rolling, emotions high. You storm out. Guess who looks like the villain in the wedding video? I felt the air leave my lungs. This wasn't about Daniel being there. It was about how I'd react to him being there. Claire put a hand on my arm. Don't give her the satisfaction. If he shows, you smile, you sit, you do your job as father of the bride. Then leave on your terms, not hers. I drove home without turning the radio on. If Claire was right, tomorrow wasn't just a trap, it was a performance. And I'd just been handed the script. Weddings smell like flowers and money burning. This one was no different. The church was dressed to kill. White roses, gold ribbon, the kind of setup that screams Instagram filter optional. I stood in the foyer, stiff in my suit, watching guests file in. Every smile felt rehearsed, every handshake a little too firm, like everyone already knew they were part of a show. Emily appeared in the hallway, dress trailing like spilled cream. She looked radiant, terrified, and older than she did yesterday. Dad, she said, voice catching, thank you for coming. I didn't say yet. I just kissed her on the forehead and said, let's get you down that aisle. We lined up. Music started. And then, because the universe loves timing, he walked in. Daniel Brooks. No tux. No tie. Just a tailored navy suit. Open collar. Holding a small bouquet like he thought he was the groom. The murmurs started before he even made it halfway down the side aisle. Emily's grip on my arm tightened. I looked at her. She was pale, but she didn't pull away. Daniel stopped at the second pew on the groom's side, set the flowers down, and sat. Like he'd been invited all along. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw June, smiling, just enough for me to see. She'd gotten exactly what she wanted. Him here, me here, and everyone waiting to see if I'd explode. But I didn't. I walked Emily down the aisle, step for step, past Daniel without even glancing at him. I handed her to her fiancé, shook his hand, and took my seat. The ceremony went on like nothing was wrong, but every nerve in my body was humming. Daniel sat there the whole time, smiling like a man who thinks he's won something. I didn't move until the recessional was over. And then, instead of heading to the reception, I walked straight to him. Bent down, whispered in his ear, enjoy today. It's the last one you get. And I walked out on my own terms. The next morning, I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when the knock came. Not the polite kind. The kind that says we're not leaving until you answer. Emily stood there in yesterday's makeup, hair pinned back like she'd slept in it. Her dress was gone, replaced with a hoodie and jeans. Eyes red. "You left," she said. "I stayed through the ceremony," I said, stepping aside so she could come in. "I walked you down the aisle. I did exactly what you asked." "You didn't come to the reception." "No," I said. "I wasn't going to sit there and pretend the last 20 years didn't happen while he toasted your new life." She dropped onto the couch, elbows on her knees. "You didn't even give me a chance to explain." "Explain what?" I asked. "That you said he was off the list, but still let him walk in? That your mother staged it so I'd look like the problem?" Her head shot up. "I didn't know she told him to come." I stared at her, waiting for the tell, eyes darting, hand on the neck, something. But she held my gaze. "I swear, Dad. I told her I wanted him there in some way, but not at the ceremony. I thought, maybe later, at the reception." She told me she understood. She didn't. I sat down across from her. "That's her move, Emily. She doesn't ask for forgiveness. She engineers situations where you're too tired to fight." She let out a humorless laugh. "Guess I inherited that from both sides." We sat in the quiet for a while, the hum of the fridge filling in the blanks. "Finally," she said, "he came up to me after you left. Said you told him it was the last day he'd get." I didn't answer. She studied me. "What did you mean by that?" I sipped my coffee. "I meant the wedding was the one day I'd give him without interference. He got to sit there, breathe the same air, see you in that dress. That's it. There's no relationship to build after this. No Sunday dinners. No introductions to grandkids. He's a guest star in your life, not a series regular." Her eyes softened, but her voice stayed sharp. "You think you get to decide that?" "I think I've earned the right to set some boundaries after raising you," I said. "You can talk to him all you want. But if you want me in your life the same way I've always been, there are lines. That's one." She leaned back, chewing on it. "And if I cross it?" Then I stepped back. "Not because I want to, but because I won't sit front row to watch you get rewritten." She didn't answer, just stared at the carpet, like the pattern might tell her something. When she finally stood, she looked older than she did walking down that aisle yesterday. "I don't know if I can live with that rule," she said. "I know," I said. "But now you know where I stand." At the door, she turned. "You know what's funny? Everyone told me weddings were about compromise." "They are," I said. "That's why I showed up at all." She left without another word. The door clicked shut, and the house felt bigger, emptier. I sat there for a long time, coffee gone cold, thinking about how I'd just drawn the hardest line of my life with the person I loved most. And here's the part they don't tell you. Winning doesn't feel like winning. It feels like watching the credits roll on a movie you didn't want to end, knowing there's no sequel.